Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Look, I very, very rarely say I think so-and-so shouldn't be boxing, or this person has taken too much punishment. But I mean, I have those thoughts, unlike anyone else. And like someone like a Derek Chisora, I don't really want to see him fight again because I think he's probably past the point of no return. I mean, he's taken so much punishment over his career. But maybe he'll be okay, we hope. But very rarely do I see someone who's in the early part of their career and I think this guy shouldn't be fighting. But I did see someone over the weekend that falls into that category, and that person is Steve Robinson, the heavyweight who got beaten up by Alen Babic, a much smaller man. Robinson himself, I think, Alen Babic is basically a small heavyweight, or should we say a bridgerweight, if we want to go there. Steve Robinson's like 6'7". He's a big man, tall, strong man, but he doesn't look like he's ever had a boxing lesson in his life. And I don't like seeing people just getting beaten up. If there's no skill, if they don't even understand the rudimentary skills of boxing, I don't want to see him in a boxing ring, because boxing to me isn't about just watching some guy get brain damage. You know, if he hasn't got the skills to hold someone off him, to contain someone and keep them off him, then what's the point of watching it? It's just like watching a pub brawl between two guys. And the Babich fight, was there entertainment value? Yeah, of course there was, but it was a pure slugging match. I mean, no one's going to mistake Alen Babic for Willie Pep, are they? He hasn't exactly got great skills himself. But he was winging these enormous punches and smacking Robinson. He couldn't miss Robinson, banging it at every side. Every punch was landing. It's full-blooded. And the reason I worry about Robinson isn't just the fact that he doesn't appear to have ever had a boxing lesson in his life. He doesn't appear to have mastered even the very basics of boxing. It's because, number one, he's got guts. And number two, he's got a very good chin. And yes, Babich stopped him on his feet and Robinson was complaining afterwards. But if you've got guts and a good chin and you're taking punches flush, I can't think of a bigger recipe for brain damage, for being damaged further down the line. And Robinson, he came into this fight with a 6-2 record. He'd lost his previous fight to Franklin Ignatius, an undefeated fighter. And then I think 3 fights previously, he'd lost to Shane Gill, who came in with a record of no wins and no draws and 1 defeat. He lost on points over 6. The Ignatius fight was an 8-rounder. He got stopped in the 6th by Babich. And this guy, he's 33 years old now, so he ain't going to get much better. But I just want to say, find another line of work, mate, because you're going to get hurt. And I don't mean this disrespectfully at all. That guy has got guts, Steve Robinson. He's got guts. But after you've had a little go at boxing, you've had 9 fights and won 2/3 of them, but come on, man. I mean, the guy's not central area level. He's talking about a 6'7" guy who goes in with what's Babich? What, 6'1", 6'2"? Probably weighs about 25 pounds of natural weight, 35 pounds of natural weight less. Instantly, as the opening bell goes, Robinson's fighting small and fighting, not boxing. He's up close. He's trying to he's fighting Babich's fight. Now, there are skillful, taller fighters who fight small. At the weekend we saw Sebastian Fundora. He didn't fight small against Tim Zuber. He has done in the past. If you want evidence of it, go look at the Erickson-Lubin fight, which is a brilliant fight. Yeah, but he come off the floor to stop Lubin. But he's immensely tall. I mean, unbelievably tall. 6'5", 6'6", a 154 pounder. He fights small, but he's got the skills, so he can fight. So we can get away with it, to a large extent. Even though he got found out against Brian Mendoza, who knocked him flat. Diego Corrales is another extremely good fighter. He used to fight small, get into all sorts of wars. He had that incredible, Castillo fight. You all know about the 10th round of Corrales versus Castillo. Incredible comeback. But Steve Robinson hasn't got any skills. So he kind of has to just fight. And he was flailing away, trying to... At some point, I think in the 3rd, 4th round, you saw him trying to jab a bit. But to me, he looks like a guy who's watched boxing and he's trying to sort of ape or imitate what he's seen. and it's just not working. He's defensively, he just couldn't get out of the way of punches. He could not get out of the way of any punches. And Babich just beat the crap out of him. Now, if I was in the trenches, yeah, Steve Robinson, maybe in a street fight or whatever, is a handful because he's a big lump. Like I say, he's got guts. And he can take a wallop. And my God, he took some wallops in that fourth round. I mean, Babich was clocking him, and he was reeling around like a, ship in a storm. Wouldn't go down. Still trying to win. Still trying to fight back. Gutsy guy. But if you've got that amount of courage and that good a chin, yeah, and you can't defend yourself, you don't know how to defend yourself, you don't know how to use your physical dimensions, everything's just a scrap, nothing's technical, I think maybe you should find another line of work. And, I know people are going to watch this and going to say, hey, Steve Robinson, I know him, he's a great guy. And I don't doubt that for a second. I'm making this video because I'm concerned about the guy, you know what I mean? But yeah, I didn't like what I saw. It's funny because I did the video, my review video, and I always do my review videos about 5 or 10 minutes after I've watched the fight because I like everything to be fresh in my head, and I like to say what I think a fight is, and it's kind of raw and natural, and it's not like I've second guessed it or anything. I just like to go, phew. And when I reviewed that fight, I did mention that Steve Robinson kind of reminded me of a Tom Dallas or maybe a David Howe, but with a much better jaw. But I was mostly concentrating on Babich, and then I rewatched that fight, and I thought, Jesus Christ, I didn't realise how much of a pounding Robinson took. I was concentrating too much on what Babich was doing. So subconsciously, I sort of tuned out, I guess, about the amount of punishment that Robinson was taking. But like between rounds, they were showing some of the replays. The punches were landing flush. And the thing about Babich is he can bang a bit, even though he's a small heavyweight. He can bang a bit. Come on, man. Enough's enough. Get out of the game, I say. All right, so just my thoughts. I don't like seeing unskilled fighters take such a horrendous beating. The art of boxing is hit and not get hit. If you haven't learned basic defense moves, how to basically use your long levers and your dimensions, if you haven't learned the rudimentary basics of boxing, I don't think you should have a professional license. I really don't. Most journeymen who have 100 fights, maybe 200 fights, they know their way around a ring. A lot of people can't be journeymen. A lot of boxers can't be journeymen because they're fighting every week or every other week. They're having to go the distance, or they get a ban if they get stopped of 30 days suspension. That's their living. And there are probably professional world champions who couldn't do that all the time because that's taxing stuff, really taxing stuff. I've known journeyman fighters. I know what they go through, working a full-time job and fighting every other weekend, in 4-rounders or 6-rounders. But they can box a bit. When the mood takes them, they survive because they know boxing. Someone like a Steve Robinson, he can't fight. He can't box, I should say. He can't box. So even if he went down the journeyman route, he'd just be taking punishment. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But anyway, you tell me what you think. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you don't. I don't know. You tell me. And of course, as always, I appreciate you watching these videos. There are 100 other things you could be doing, but you watch this video, so thank you for that. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also hit the like button. Leave a comment if you got any. I'll read them. I'll answer them. Yeah, thanks a lot. All right, bye for now.